Welcome back to Media7, where I'm delving into the culture of conspiracy with Matthew Dentith, Mikey Havoc and Vicky Hyde. Before we re-enter the phrase, Sarah Daniels' Take Two notes the 100th birthday of the phrase conspiracy theory.
Everybody loves a good mystery, so it's no wonder conspiracy theories have become a social phenomenon. The first recorded use of the phrase conspiracy theory dates from about 1909. But things really got cracking during the political upheaval of the 60s.
From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, some 38 minutes ago.
There are proven conspiracies like the Abraham Lincoln assassination. But sometimes, like alien spacecraft, conspiracy theories lose their wheels. Like UFOs over Kaikoura.
I've seen a big red thing. Oh, God.
The official reaction, John and his colleagues were seeing distorted readings of squid boat lights.
Or Norman Kirk being poisoned by the CIA.
Bob Harvey supports claims Norm Kirk was poisoned on an overseas trip.
There's something in the herbage in West Auckland.
People who live up in West Auckland every now and again have fantastic fits of the imagination.
Good one, Bob.
Well, this is the North Head Reservoir and possibly a key to the mystery.
The mystery being airplanes buried under North Head. 80s Cameron Bennett in a tunnel. Political and financial sabotage. Ancient Celtic fairies who left strange calling cards all over the landscape. British journalist Christopher Hitchens says conspiracy theories are the exhaust fumes of democracy, and the media are choking on them. The media love a good conspiracy theory. There's colour, conflict, crazies.
They were dressed in silver foil suits.
A 2000 study showed 43% of Americans believed in UFOs.
It was doing zigzags, right, lefts, up. Oh, it was pretty crazy.
Well, let's face it, flights of fancy are so much more fun than earthly reality.
Sarah Daniel there. Let's do a quick show of hands. Who believes that Lee Harvey Oswald acted entirely alone? On the balance of probabilities, are you certain that Lee Harvey Oswald acted entirely alone?
You're asking a skeptic for certainty.
I'm not, actually, and Mikey's not. Norm Kirk, was he poisoned? No, I think Bob just made that one up. I think we should get on to what is perhaps the defining conspiracy theory and one of the defining events of our age. That's the 9/11 attacks.
Ooh.
Yes. Mikey, let's go to you. What's your belief on that?
I've got a lot of beliefs about that. I mean, I was lucky enough to watch it in real time. I was once again in Spain, and one thing that I remember, the first thing that really made me go, apart from being freaked out by the whole thing, was that from when we watched just before the second plane hit to when Osama bin Laden's face came on screen, 26 minutes. And if you remember that time, you remember thinking the chaos and everything going around there. I was like, eh? And then you've got your Arabic flight manual and you've got your this and that. And then wouldn't it be great being a Muslim for the next 30 years?
So what are you implying there?
Well, what I'm implying is that the official story seems so... If you consider, instead of saying a conspiracy theorist, consider someone like myself a skeptic as well, because I'm skeptical of what I've told by the administration and by the $30 million funded 9/11 investigation. You know, it doesn't add up for me. There's not enough proof that official story it doesn't hold water for me.
Which official story?
The official story that we're told by the government who investigated the 9/11.
So you think the towers were actually blown up by the US forces?
Oh, so what was it an inside job?
There's lots of different bits
of
story.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we were saying off here earlier, weren't we, that maybe it was just everyone covering up their own ineptitude, you know? But maybe it wasn't. And there's still a lot of things that don't make sense about it. There's still a lot of things which I think the whole United 93 thing is just complete pile of arse.
So you think, I mean, one of the suggestions has been by the conspiracy theorists that all the people that were supposed to have died were actually piled into UN 93, the Flight 93, and shot down.
No, what I think is that the story we're told is not right.
Well, it's possible that there are certainly elements that
It's
are not
possible,
right.
yeah,
I think anyone would agree with that.
I mean, this is actually an important point when you start looking at explanations of events. To a certain extent, people want certainty. They want complete accounts that explain all of the minutiae, all the different details.
Not everybody wants that, though. Some people want you to believe this, and that's the easiest, and we'll walk away from it, no one will ask any questions. And welcome to World War I, you're now in a trench fighting.
But the point here is that explanations are never fulsome. They never contain every single incidental detail. Explanations give you a general overview as to what caused the event, how the event occurred. There are always going to be small sections which are not satisfactorily explained.
And you should probably be suspicious of the ones that actually do give you, this is what happened and this is who did it. And that's what you actually tend to get from the conspiracy theorists.
Certainty is to be distrusted, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, to a certain extent.
So many of these mere conspiracy theories explain every single bit, right down to the colour of molten metal. Now, you just don't expect that from a normal explanation. You don't explain every single detail. You explain the broad gist of what's going on.
So what is a normal explanation, then?
It's fuzzy.
Yeah. Explanations are fuzzy.
And part of the problem that we have with conspiracy theories and a whole host of things that we want to believe in, we want rigidly defined areas.
No, I don't think that's true. I don't think that. I just think that there's still questions to be asked. And I think I wrote an article for Uncensored about, don't call me a conspiracy theorist, call me, I'm pro-truth. I'm not anti-anything. I'm not anti-American government. I'm not anti-Greenpeace. I'm not anti-right-wing. I'm just pro-truth. You know, to the best of my ability, understanding what the truth is. You know, and there's so many people that benefited from, or could have benefited from that event, and you know, throughout the world. And there's so many people who suffered as a result of it. Like, look at the way that we treat our Muslim brothers and sisters now. It's horrible.
So I'm still not quite sure what you're implying here, Mikey.
What I'm implying is that I don't have, here's what happened, like you're saying. I don't. Maybe I'm not a proper real conspiracy theorist after all. But it's there's enough there to make me question. The questions I had are still relevant.
Actually,
they haven't been covered by the people who are supposed to have covered those questions.
Before we move on from 9/11, I think this is worth noting, is that John Farmer, the Chief Counsel for the 9/11 Commission, Dean of Rutgers Law School, has just published a book where he has flat out stated that everything he was told by the major agencies that reported to the Commission was lies. But his view is that they were covering up their own incompetence, which points to the cock-up over conspiracy theory.
Yes. So this is the notion that, yes, he said, look, we were given lots of information actually turned out to be false, or at least manufactured in such a way to cover people's asses. But in no way does this mean the government's admitted actually it was an inside job. What they've done is that actually it was a crisis, we acted very badly in some situations, we were slow in our responses, and we told lies about that because we wanted to appear to be much more proactive than we were. None of this is an admission, unlike what Alex Jones wants to claim, that actually the inside job is now being proven.
And this is what will often happen, is that you'll get a quote taken out of context.
Oh, yes.
The last 2 days I've wasted hours and hours trying to find the original source of quotes.
You can remember, this is a country that came up with the phrase, an orchestrated litany of lies. It's why you do actually have to keep an eye on what your politicians are telling you, on what conspiracy people are telling you, and try and find your way to whatever version of truth you're going to have. But at some point it becomes perverse. The moon hoax landings, for example. I mean, it is really perverse to continue to say we never did what was perhaps the most inspirational technological feat that mankind has actually achieved, post-pyramids.
See, but I'm with you on that, absolutely, you know. And I think it's a bad way to go when you start saying conspiracy theorists, because not everybody thinks the same way that not everybody's...
Yeah, there's a bell curve. Yeah. There's the really...
And right at one end of the bell curve, surely, is Jonathan Eisen, the editor and publisher of Uncensored magazine, who you know. He believes in everything, Mikey. He believes in the reptilian shapeshifters. What do you make of that?
What I make of Jonathan is a really lovely guy, and who is not he doesn't have any secret agenda or anything like that. He's a really lovely guy. He believes a bit more than I believe.
Is he sane though?
Yeah, he's actually incredibly intelligent. I described him to somebody as being like him being like 27 waterfalls all fall into a lake and trying to explain all of them at once to you. And some of them are there, some of them aren't, in my opinion. And you know, in the magazine there's stuff that I've read and stuff I just sort of take as, you know, passed on. But I think he's a really, really good guy, and I think that I know that with the meningitis vaccine stuff that we did, it was genuine and factual, and it wasn't us. I'd prefer not to have done it. I'd prefer just to have gone home and sat around.
But how can you actually differentiate between the lizard queen, as it were, and the factual stuff when you've got it all mishmashed together? I mean, that is part of the problem, I think, with conspiracy theories.
Mishmashing it together. It's the same as saying that Michael Moore doesn't make documentaries. Shut up. Yes, he does. He makes great documentaries.
Advocacy journalism.
And you can build a huge institution saying that he doesn't. By everybody going, isn't that right? Isn't that right? Yeah, it's best for us if we say this, and then you've got Fox News, you know. And it's I think it's horrible. I think it's really nasty. I think the way that the media jumps aboard. You know, say for example, Iraq War. Mobile rocket launcher found. You know, and then a couple of days later, the facts come out. No, it was a balloon factory, a mobile balloon thing.
No, it's Roswell.
No. This is what happened. And I tried to get the editor of the Herald on about it at the time, and say, why didn't you even report it? Why didn't you even come out and say, sorry, that story's wrong? Because this is a war we're talking about, you know? And there's you start doing that and you're a conspiracy theorist. That's a fact. But they're not going to do it. It stays there. It just stays out. I didn't want to go here, but I'm going to go with the Michael Jackson thing. I absolutely believe this to my very core, that the whole Michael Jackson thing was fabricated. I know you don't, but I can't find that article that you told me about.
Well, he's still
alive? Yes. No. That Michael Jackson was arrested the day before the Americans had to announce that there were no weapons mass destruction in Iraq. And I challenge anybody watching this to think of one thing that could get the world's attention more than that, than one of the most famous people in the world doing something that the whole world abhors, and then bring me the proof that he actually did it.
Well, it's unprovable otherwise. I tend to go with the police raid report where they found the whole room.
Yeah, I can't find that.
One of the problems that we have in assessing a lot of these things, regardless of whether they're as part of a conspiracy theory or not, is we're pattern seekers. We have survived as humans by looking for patterns, by seeing strange lights in the sky and knowing you better not go out there because something's going to eat you, stay by the campfire, ugh. And unfortunately, what it tends to do is we have also decided there must be a causal and relationship between those patterns that we see. Michael Jackson's arrested, Gulf War happens, there must be a connection between the two.
Yes,
sometimes that's justifiable, oftentimes it's not, and sometimes it's actually dangerous when we make those causal connections. You know, the Black Plague has broken out, there are Jews in our community, they caused it. And we've seen absolutely appalling things
in a sense, the original conspiracy theory, isn't it? The Jews done it.
Yes, over and over and over and over again. And it's caused appalling sorts of things that have happened in our history. So we have to be very careful and very, very sure of our grounds before we start saying them out there, regardless of whether we are identifying them as Jews or as Muslims or as right-wing evangelists or whoever else that we want to tar and feather and run out of town.
We're going to have to wrap it up with that, but thank you very much, all of you. Now, if all this conspiracy is making you hungry, well, Jose Barbosa has a snack for you.
The British comedian Stephen Fry once referred to the human race as a species of tubes whose only purpose is to expel faeces. Well, you can't have faeces without food.
Yes, food is important for the obvious biological reasons. In fact, I love food so much I'd wear it if I could get away with it. But then we all love food, a fact demonstrated by how much of the printed word and what we see on our TV is devoted to it.
Just, what do you want, a medal?
You can't get away from it, it's like some sort of media eczema.
Is that pleasant?
That is.
Makeup
that's
artists
really
tell me,
smooth.
For an old man, makeup artists tell me I have very nice skin.
There are a whole lot of people who are earning a crust from cuisine. They're food writers, and I've come to Hawke's Bay to meet some of them at the annual New Zealand Food Writers Awards and find out a little more about what they do.
Is this your first time? Are you nervous?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
The awards honour what is considered to be some of the best writing about food. Here's Virgil Everts, who won the award for the Best Emerging Writer.
I think with any animal, you've got a responsibility. If you're going to eat part of it, it's been killed for your sustenance or for your pleasure or whatever, you need to know where it's come from. You've got a responsibility to know where it's come from. Not the farm, but exactly how it lived. You know, it lived for your amusement, basically. And that was what motivated me in that instance. That's mostly what really motivates me to write.
And it's not only about writing. There's even an award for food styling.
Food is particularly hard to photograph, to make it look really fantastic, keeping it fresh, especially if you're working under lights. Stews are quite hard. Stews, casseroles, if you're working something that is inherently brown looking, that's always going to be hard to bring it up, give it a bit of life.
Yep, it was turning out to be a great evening. But then things took a turn for the worse.
I'm not pregnant, I'm fat.
And then the unthinkable happened.
The winner of the electronic media culinary quill is Food in a Minute.
That's right, Food in a Minute, the sponsor-driven 60-second spot before the news, featuring frozen potato pom-poms and simmer sauce, won the Electronic Media Award, beating TV peacock Peter Mathias, seen here wearing jaffas.
Rosy posy.
There's a big line drawn in the sand at the moment between cooking at home and cooking in a restaurant. We need to get people back in the kitchen, we need to get them cooking, and that's exactly what Food in a Minute has done.
So maybe it's worth relaxing our highbrow notions about what good food is. Maybe we shouldn't be so dismissive of the fare created from frozen peas and pre-cooked sausages. In fact, I'd argue some of the best television about food gets right back to the basics.
3 o'clock in the morning, that pie's been in the warming drawer for probably about 12 hours. It'll be thermonuclear, and it's always blowing the pie. I'm hungry. Always blowing the pie, safer communities together.
Senior Media7 correspondent for eating, Jose Barbosa. And that's your lot for this week. Thanks to Matthew Dentith, Mikey Havoc and Vicky Hyde, and to our daring panel, Bernard Hickey, Alan Emerson and Bryce Johns. And thanks to you for watching. We'll be back with Media7 at the same time next week. Until then, always blow on the pie.